managed to get around all the tables yet. Don't worry, they said they're going to do that after the toast, so you haven't missed out. So I have a few words to say, a few pages of words. So I hope you've got good full glasses of wine. As the father of the bride, it's my heartfelt privilege and honor to give this speech. But before I do, I want to thank all of you for attending this event. There are too many of you to name, but there are some people I'd like to point out and thank specifically. Victoria's mother, Linda, who did an amazing job planning and coordinating. And of course, not just planning and coordinating the event, but also raising Victoria, which I will refer to later. Drew's parents, Sue and Dave, the best man, David, and Courtney and Nikki, the maids of honor, and great friends to Victoria for many years. In particular, I'd like to thank Sue and David for the wonderful rehearsal dinner, and we especially thank you for taking Victoria into your family and giving her your help and support as Drew's girlfriend and fiancé. Your local help in San Diego, while we were so far away, was very much appreciated by Victoria's mother and I. In addition, I'd like to thank family and friends who made the long trips over from Holland and England, quite a lot from England, and I know there's New Zealand, of course, and I did hear like New York, Boston. Did I miss any? There's some long travel plans anyway, and especially Victoria's godfather, Phil Richardson, and godmother, Susan Gold. I can officially say that your duties are done. We had hoped that Victoria's grandparents would be able to make it across the pond, and they were planning to do so, and we're really looking forward to it. But unfortunately, recent ill health meant they were not able to make the trip. My wife Joan has been taking a lot of video that we're going to send to them at this event. We are here today to celebrate Victoria and Drew's wedding, a day which is always an emotional one for a dad. My little girl has grown up. I will no longer have the same influence. And am I losing a daughter or gaining a son? But for all these emotions, by far the dominant one today is sheer happiness and joy and love as Victoria and Drew start their life together. When I first met Drew, I was thrilled to see that Victoria had picked a wonderful young man. Someone who was handsome, smart, with good manners, good athletic ability, can grow a pretty good moustache and beard, and an interest in cars. Not that I'm insinuating anything here, Victoria, but maybe you know someone similar who's a little bit older. Since that first introduction to Drew, we have really gotten to know him well, especially at the Reese Satelli vacations in Puerto Vallarta, where even though Drew did not participate in the excessive tequila tasting, he frequently led the party games and was definitely the only one capable of remembering all the rules of Cheers Governor as the tequila started to take effect on everyone. Well, almost everyone, except Joan, of course, because tequila just doesn't affect everyone. Well, so she claims. The more I got to know Drew, the more I hoped Victoria would anoint him as the chosen one. So it was great news when one evening, at an Airbnb house in Sedona, where we were all attending my stepson Joey's wedding to Kristen, that Drew asked to meet me outside the house, whereupon he asked for my blessing to ask for Victoria's hand in marriage. Maybe this is a bit old-fashioned these days, but I very much appreciated it, and of course I was delighted to say yes. So Drew, let me give you a little bit of background on your wife. As anybody who knows her knows that Victoria is one of the sweetest, most loving people in the world. She has a heart of gold and will always help anyone or indeed any animal in need. She will not just be your wife, she will be your best friend. If you give her love, she will give you twice that love back. She is not just a beautiful woman, She is one of the best human beings on the planet. And her mother and I love her like crazy, and we know that you do too. These qualities, and your love for her, are a wonderful basis for a lasting marriage. However, there are a couple of things you may want to avoid. Victoria's quite athletic, and as Linda and I watched her grow, we did the usual parental duties of shuttling her around for various sports. Girls' soccer was, and still is, a pretty big sport in the US, so as an ex-Brit, I had dreams of creating the next Brandi Chastain or Mia Hamm, or maybe the new stars like Megan Rapinoe or Alex Morgan, who just won the World Cup. What a proud dad I was going to be. Unfortunately, this plan did not come to fruition, as Victoria on the soccer field was usually to be found in some corner away from the ball, picking daisies to make daisy chains. I figured that maybe ball sports weren't her forte. So you're going to have to do the usual dad responsibilities of teaching kids ball sports. Luckily, Plan B was far more successful, and Victoria became quite an accomplished swimmer, holding some of the records at Silver Creek Swim Club and the local league, so she can teach the kids to swim. I'll give one word of warning, however. If you do get your kids into swimming, be prepared to give up every single Saturday from 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. or later, sitting in the hot sun waiting for your kid's turn to race. Linda and I did this for about 20 years as Victoria and her brother Michael, who followed in his sister's footsteps, competed. Victoria also has a tendency to procrastinate if there is a task she is not interested in. There were many evenings when she was in her early teens when she would retire to her room to complete her homework. Hours later, her mother would inquire as to her progress. And while there had been great progress on photograph collages, downloading music, small crafts, etc., the homework was in exactly the same state as it was at the beginning of the evening. I have to thank Linda for all the work she did to keep our daughter on the academic track. That was a major task. Especially after Victoria started hanging out with Nikki, who provided, let's say, additional knowledge and teaching about extracurricular activities away from the classroom. Luckily, she also met Courtney, who counteracted Nikki by providing a voice of reason. Thank you, Courtney. Having said all that, if Victoria is interested in something, she will expend enormous amounts of effort to do it and do it well, as she did with her swimming. It was clear relatively on that Victoria was very musical, which maybe came from her granny, who's an excellent pianist, and through me, a poor pianist, violinist, dabbler in guitar, and a reasonable singer. Linda did some research and found the San Jose CMT, Children's Musical Theater. Victoria jumped at the chance to perform, and coincidentally, her stepsisters, Allison and Caroline, also performed there. For those of you not from San Jose, this might not sound like much, but the reputation of this theater is exemplary. Just some of the CMT alumni that have gone on to Broadway include Alex Brightman, nominated for the 2016 Tony for Best Actor in School of Rock. Ryan Vasquez, he's on the Hamilton National Tour. Aaron Albano in Newsies, Mary Poppins, Cats and Allegiance. Chelsea Stock in Ariel and The Little Mermaid, and many, many more. Victoria performed at CMT with some of these alums, so as you can see, the talent was phenomenal and world-class. This became Victoria's passion, and she's performed almost her whole life, including a contract as the lead singer on a cruise line. In San Diego, she helped form a cabaret group, the Ladies of Rouge, who perform regularly at Vanda Sura. Hey, shout out! In downtown, if you'd like to see them. And joined Grand Sonic Theory and Republic of Music. So we've got these two bands here, but unfortunately, they're missing a bit of a lead singer. But they found some excellent replacements. And of course, I do remember one Christmas, Victoria surprised me with a couple of videos with Grand Sonic Theory of some Karen Carpenter covers that literally bring me to tears when I play them. Thank you so much for those, Victoria. I will treasure them forever. And I know your granny and grandpa have been showing them to their friends, and they're very proud of you too, and your beautiful singing voice. From Silver Creek and Valley Christian High School, Victoria moved down to San Diego to attend San Diego State University and joined the Pi Phi sorority, which her stepsisters did not approve of, as they were Alpha Phi. I heard some pretty funny chants from one to the other, but as this is a family show, I cannot repeat them. Little did we know that San Diego was to become Victoria's chosen place to live. I just assumed she would come back home, but she did not. So I looked up, why do people live in San Diego? And this is what I found on the internet, so it must be true. 1, the weather is probably the most perfect climate in the world. Just don't come in May or June. 2, swimsuits and flip-flops are considered proper attire. 3, people here are unnervingly good-looking. Just look at the bride and groom. 4, your beer isn't as good as our beer. I've made this a personal challenge to investigate this claim a few pints at a time. 5, we know our sports teams aren't that great. They're not really left, huh? 6, for those of you that have seen the very funny Anchorman movies, which are set in San Diego, you'll understand the following quote. If you haven't seen the movies, this will seem extremely odd. San Diego does not mean whale's vagina. And last but not least, no one was actually born here, except Drew, of course. That's pretty clear why she stayed. Finally, Joan and I thought it was so nice we just became San Diegans ourselves. Yeah. We just moved down here 3 weeks ago. Which brings us to today. I know Victoria searched high and low to find a venue which met her criteria and the budget. And what an excellent choice she made. I may be a bit biased, but I think this is the best wedding ever, and I know there's still more fun to come. But before I get to the wedding itself, I wanted to replay for you the proposal, which itself was a major event. Once Drew has decided on something, he goes all in. And so it was with the proposal. After he'd asked me for my blessing, he worked on the surprise plan no simple proposal would do. Drew was rapidly sending numerous text messages to everyone with his plan to pop the question. In true Drew form, every detail was planned, including where I was to stand, what I was to say when Victoria came round to an apartment in San Diego, ostensibly to see a new puppy. As Victoria came in and saw me, I think she twigged, even though I gave my best acting with the lines I was given. Many of you were there when Drew dropped to one knee and asked Victoria. It was truly a wonderful event, and of course she said yes. That was a class act, Drew. Really well done. Drew joins Joey and Kristen as another lawyer in the family, so we could probably form a complete instantaneous family law firm if we wanted to. We've had a few constitutional law arguments at the aforementioned tequila tastings, but I'm not quite convinced we have any future Supreme Court justices just yet. By far the best arguments have had nothing to do with the law, rather, who has the best team in our family fantasy football league. Based on Joey and Drew's deep knowledge, it seems to me that law school must teach a course on fantasy football player picking. Though it has to be said in our league, which is called Girly Girls versus Manly Men, the girls seem to win more than the boys. I'm not quite sure how that happens. Drew brings many other qualities to our family. He's kind, he has a great sense of humor, he's handsome just like the rest of us. He's thoughtful and exceptionally well organized. I'm really happy to clearly gain a son rather than lose a daughter. Welcome to our family, Drew. And now, here we are a year and a bit after the famous surprise proposal, and my daughter is married. The vows were lovely to hear and filled me, and I'm sure her mother and many others, with happiness and joy as they profess their love for each other. There will be difficulties to overcome and challenges you will face. But if you're true to each other and forgive each other when things don't go so well, then you will have a long and happy marriage. Hopefully in the near future, you'll be blessed with a family yourselves, and you too will go through the wonderful years of bringing up children, maybe even a daughter if you're lucky. Victoria and Drew, in closing, one piece of advice. When you are wrong, just admit it. When you are right, just shut up And for Drew specifically, husbands are usually wrong most of the time. So you might as well just get used to it. As I look at Victoria the bride, I can't help but reflect on all the years I was lucky enough to watch her grow and become the beautiful woman she is today. She's my little girl, my princess, and ray of sunlight, no matter what her age. She'll always be those things to me. But today, as I watch her marry a wonderful man, I'm filled with pride and joy, and I'm confident that she and Drew are about to embark on a wonderful journey filled with love and happiness. May the two of you always treat each other with love, compassion, and kindness. I ask you today to join me today in congratulating the bride and groom and wishing them all the best for a long and happy life together. The bride and groom.